Hey, good morning, all. Welcome to the 3 plus 1 sessions on the ReactJS programming. Hari, can you please confirm that I am audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible to us, sir.
Very good. I am also sharing my screen. Just give me a second. Hari, let me know if the screen is visible.
Yes, sir, we can see your screen, sir.
Okay. Fine, thank you very much.
Thank you,
So
sir.
how many participants I am seeing? Currently 8. I think we are expecting total 10. The other two are expected to join any time. Please make sure that we do not waste the time of the people who work on time. So make sure that you always join the sessions, whatever is the schedule. All right. Good. So I hope you are aware of the outline, right? So we have shared it for several times. Anyway, I'll show it once again on the screen. So basically today we'll be looking at looking this as an ice breaking session. We see that we'll be looking at ECMS script, some parts of ECMS script, which is very essential for React, and then the initial setup of the React application development. So by the time we leave the session, we should be having a running React application, however small it is, with or without understanding what is being done. And tomorrow and day after, we'll be actually working on the ReactJS. After these 3 days, you'll be given a project work. As of now, we have decided to do it in a half day, so that on Saturday itself we can review it. But let me see how it goes. I went through your profiles. I went through your responses to the pre-assessment test. What I understood is many of us are pretty much still not clear about very fundamentals. I'm still seeing many people giving wrong answers for very fundamental questions. So we'll try to iron out all of them today. Make sure that you go through the pre-read suggestions. There are no shortcuts for learning anything, right? So if the time is not sufficient, try once again whenever you find some time. Make sure that we are good at the fundamentals so that it is easy to learn the actual technology. Okay. So the adequacy, you know, right? So please be on mute always. Please do not prompt anything. And whenever you have a question, you can always unmute and ask the question and mute again. I'll try to answer them as early as possible. Do not use the chat window to write questions or anything, because I may not observe that. And if you want to leave any time for whatever reasons, you can leave. You need not take any permission, and you can rejoin. It's all up to you. Okay? Please do not disturb the rest of the class. Okay. And this is from 10 to 2 o'clock, as you know. We'll be having a 20-minute break, 15-20-minute break, somewhere at around 12 o'clock. I'll try to finish as much theoretical aspects as possible before that break. Means I'll just do my theory and demonstrations in the next 2 hours majorly. And the rest of the time, you will be doing the hands-on, and you will be presenting your results by sharing your screen, which we'll try to review. But everything needs to be done before 2. If you are not able to present your screen, means if you are not able to finish the activity, you'll be losing a golden opportunity to get feedback. There is nothing else we can do about it. Okay? You will be given a lot of homework every day, which that's a lot of homework. It is actually maybe 2 to 3 hours of work, which you'll be doing every day. Again, as a what do you call a quiz, like what I'm giving. Sometimes you need to, last time I have given only multi-choice questions, but this time you may have to actually write the code also. Okay. Again, the quiz will be somewhere in the evening. So till that time, if you have some other work, you may attend that work, or you can learn something on your own, so that when I give the quiz, you try to attempt them. Everything is open book. The idea is to learn, just to give a way to learn rather than assess every time. But next day morning by 8 o'clock, you need to finish that. So learn as much as possible. Try to get the right answers before 8 o'clock next day morning. It's not important to give the answers at the earliest, rather give the answers that are correct before 8 o'clock next day. Okay. So that's the schedule of the class. Now what we do is, like, we'll be having a small introduction among ourselves, and I'll also give you the pre or the context of this program, so that every one of you are aware of what is happening here. Myself, Krishna. My full name is Krishna Mohan Koya, as you can see on the screen. I'm a technology consultant, corporate trainer. I'm also a research scholar for the last 1 year, and a lecturer. I'm into this industry somewhere in the 98, so almost 23 years plus, actually 23 plus years of exposure with the IT industry. You can see, like, on the screen, you can see the summary, the technological skills that I uh, currently possess in the various domains, and the major clients that I deal with. Right, as you can see, like, I deliver consulting and training for various clients like Flipkart, Visa, RCGM, that is Disha, Rakuten, the Japanese e-commerce giant, Cisco, as you know, Bosch, Yodlee, VMware, Wells Fargo, Walmart, Sharp, and few others. I just put some of the recent clients. And from the professional history perspective, started with various things initially. Then in 2006, I came out of the corporate career after working for Cisco and Wipro and other things. Between 2006 and 2008, I tried multiple things. Some of them worked out better, some of them gave an idea to what I can do or what I should do. And since 2008, I have been into the current career. Glarimy Technology Services is my organization, a small firm. We are into consulting. When I say consulting, technology consulting, corporate training, and learning services, other learning services. For the last, whatever, more than 15 years, I believe. Academically, I hold a BE in Electronics and Communications Engineering and MTech in Computer Science and Technology. Both are from a university called Andhra University, Vishakhapatnam, in the eastern coast of India. That was way back in 90s. And since 2021, that is since last year, I signed up for a PhD program. So I have been a research scholar in the area of microservices. I am working on designing a protocol for asynchronous communication or asynchronous transactions in the microservices environment. I'm doing it at a private university in Bengaluru by name Reva University. Okay. So that's my professional background. I hope I should be able to answer most of your questions during the class itself. And if there is anywhere I am falling short, I try to do my homework and answer you at the earliest. The context of this program is that Mr. Mahesh, the director of Triosoft IT Solutions, and myself have been friends almost since we landed in Bengaluru in 90s, I think 98, 99. Even though we never worked together or never attended any college or something, connected through a common friend, and since then we have been a very good friends. And we also live in a little close neighborhood in Bangalore. We help each other personally. We never have any business transactions between Triosoft and Glarimy. Okay. Why I'm saying this one is because whenever I need some help, Mahesh provides to us, and whenever Mahesh needs some help, I try to lend my support. So in that context, we are doing this session. I came to know that Mahesh is currently having a team of people. He felt it is good if they are formally trained on ReactJS, and I find some time these 3 days. Then I said, why don't we do it? And that's how we are doing it. So please make sure that you are using this opportunity, right? And because this is a session, I'm doing it for my friend. Typically what I do is like, I pull as many people as possible from our networks, friends of Mahesh or friends of me or whoever we feel maybe benefit out of this program, we just pull them around. That's how I have added, I think, 2-3 people more. So, right? So that means you have people from Triosoft who are supposed to be formally trained. So they are the actual audience for this program. And the rest of the people, for the rest of the people, it is an opportunity to learn this technology and gain something out of it. But the primary audience are the team at Triosoft. Okay, so that is the context. I hope you all got this point. Okay, so now what I do is like, I'll just call the names one by one. Please unmute and introduce yourself. And when you are introducing, just limit yourself to only 3 important points. Number 1, of course, your name, which anyway I call. You need to tell us what is your academic background. I know it, but I want everyone in the class to know so that you can gel well. So what is your academic background? And if you have any experience with any technology, are you working somewhere currently? How much of experience you are having? And how much you know about any of the technologies that we are dealing with. What are the technologies? HTML, CSS, JS, and React. These are the 4 things we deal with here. So your name, your academic qualifications, your experience in number of years or months, and your expertise in these 4 technologies. And please mention clearly if you are from Triosoft. Okay. So I hope you understand. Please, let's not waste too much of time. Let's go one by one. Let me first call Hari. Can you please introduce Hari Prasad?
Hello, sir. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Ketini Hari Prasad, and I'm from Tirupati. Actually, I completed my graduation at Bharat University, that is in the domain of engineering and electrical and electronics engineering. Actually, recently I got the job in Triosoft IT Solutions Private Limited, and I'm dealing with 2 internal projects in here. And I don't have any experience. I'm a fresher. I just joined 2 months before here, and I'm trying to expertise in all the web technologies. And right now, I'm aware of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and I am in the initial stage of learning ReactJS. That's why Mahesh sir actually provided this training session to all of our Triosoft employees. And I would like to thank Mr. Koya Krishnamohan sir for giving this great training opportunity to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Hari.
so much,
I
sir.
request everyone to just make it as short as possible so that we have ample time. Let's move on to the next person, Sai Teja.
Morning, sir. Good morning, all. Myself, my name is Challa Sai Teja, and I am from Tirupati. I completed my graduation in Tirupati in College of Annamacharya Institute of Science and Technologies in the stream of Mechanical Engineering. and I'm the employee in Trios of IT Solutions. I'm a backend developer. My skills are Node.js, MongoDB, and databases MySQL, servers. That's it.
Very good, Saitija. Thank you. Welcome. Next one is Nandi Mandalam. I'm not saying the full name here. I hope you know Nandi Mandalam. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning to all. My name is Nandimandalam Shekhar. I'm from. I had graduated on BTech Automobile Engineering at Lovely Professional University. I am a fresher. I had passed on 2022. Uh, I had trained on full stack Java developer at Hyderabad.
Very good. Thank you very much, Guneshekar.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next is Lavanya.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, one and all. Myself, Lavanya. I'm from Gundepalli. I completed my graduation in 2019 from JNTK University in the stream of Computer Science and Engineering. After my graduation, I prepared for competitive exams. Later, I changed my path to software. Then I trained in Pega. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Lavanya. Next is Ajay.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir, and good morning to everyone. I am from Adani, and I did my BTech from G. Reddy Engineering College in the stream of Electronics and Communication Engineering. Currently, I am pursuing my MTech from SV University, and I belong to Triosoft, and I am undergoing training here, and I know about HTML and CSS. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Thank you, Ajay.
Okay.
Next is Akhil. Ajay, please mute your phone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Akhil, go ahead. You are not much audible, Akhil. Can you please come closer to the mic? Yeah, it is still feeble. Yeah, let's go ahead.
I'm from Rajmundry. I did my graduation in IT Engineering College in the domain Electrical and Electronics Engineering. After that, I did a diploma course in embedded systems and IoT, Internet of Things. So I didn't have any experience on this HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, but I have from past 1 year I'm using some softwares called embedded C and C language and some basic Python. That's it.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Akhil.
Thank you, sir.
Chandrasekhar.
Hello, good morning, sir. Good morning to one and all. Myself, Chandrasekhar. I am from Rajmundry. I did my engineering in Aditya Engineering College. I have some experience in HTML and CSS. I just want to learn something in here. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Welcome, Chandrasekhar. Manikanta.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. My name is K.C. Samanata. I am from Nanded. I completed my graduation in BTech with the stream of Computer Science Engineering from Indian University. I am a fresher. My skills are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and ReactJS. I am working in Microsoft.
Perfect. Perfect. Welcome, Manikanta. And
Thank you, sir.
finally, Panindra.
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead, Panindra.
My name is Sri Kanila. I am from Nellore, Andhra Pradesh. I completed my graduation in Narayana Engineering College, Nellore, then I graded 68%. I know basic knowledge of HTML, Linux, SQL. That's it.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you all. Right. So I hope you people are aware of each other now, and your numbers are also there in the WhatsApp. We are all part of the same WhatsApp group, right? Maybe during this session, these 4 days, or till you complete that project, whatever, you can actually freely help each other, share your knowledge, whether you are part of Triosoft or outside of Triosoft. Seek help from others and offer help to others collectively learn something out of it, right? So now, hopefully, during these sessions, you'll be more familiar with each other. Right, so let me start with the actual session, and I'm sure you are aware of this outline. So today we are going to look at basic introduction on the UI technology, web UI technology. Then we'll spend some time on ECMA script, and then we set up and develop a hello world application on ReactJS. Right, so that is how it is planned for today. We are not going to cover any CSS or HTML or JS. They are prerequisites. We expect you to learn those things already. If you are still falling short of them, you are expected to do your homework every day and try to grasp as much as possible so that you understand the React well. Okay. So first, let me start with what we call the basics of what is actually UI technology. These sessions are being recorded, so definitely you will be getting these recordings later. I hope. I think Hari will be able to do that. At the end of each day, maybe Hari can share the recordings with the rest of the team so that you can refer it to back. So we are now looking at what is actually web technology and where this UI and various technologies come into picture. So let's try to get that. You all know that when we say we are using a computer, there are two ways to use the computer. One is like you install software on this machine. Let's say if this is the computer, you install software on this machine and use it, right? And you use it, just connect to the machine and use it. It's like you install, let's say, a game and you play it. You install a spreadsheet program and you use it. So those kind of softwares are simply called as standalone softwares. They are called just as standalone software. You just install it and it runs. You don't require anything else. But the problem with such kind of standalone software is that you need to install several of them, and your machine may or may not support those many. Sometimes the configuration of your machine may not compatible with the requirements of the software. In such a case, you can't even install the software. So to get get out of all these kind of issues, about 3 decades ago, a new technology at that time, of course, was introduced, which we call it as client-server technology. There, you'll be installing software on a machine, which you call it as server, which is only one machine in a well-protected environment in some location. We don't care where it is. And we'll be having only software which we call as client on our machine. And the client and server, they connect to each other through some sort of network. It may be a local area network if it is in the same building, same organization, or it may be internet if we are completely different organizations. Let's say Google runs a mail server. We don't even know where they're running. That's why we simply call it as they're running on cloud. Probably it is there in somewhere in the US or somewhere in the Europe or somewhere in the Asia Pacific. We don't care. The server runs somewhere. The server, in this case, I'm talking about mail server. And as a user, what we are doing, we are having a client software called browser, right, on my machine. I just only install, let's say, a browser, and I connect to my mails just by visiting a URL. And what this URL is doing, this browser is connecting to a server that is there somewhere else. So this way, whether I need not to install a lot of things, I just need to install only client software. Browser is one of the most famous client software. A client that can run many other web clients, that's what we call. So with this client server architecture, we got numerous new possibilities, and whatever you see these days is all come under this technology. The only thing is that how this client and server can speak to each other. They may speak to each other with some kind of protocol, the so-called protocol, which may be understood only by these two guys. All right. Just one second. Yeah. So the client and server may be talking to each other using some set protocol, which may be very much proprietary. Means no other client can talk to that server. That is one way of doing it. Or they can speak to each other over a protocol that is public. So one such public protocol that is very famous is something called HTTP. HTTP is one such public protocol using which any client can talk to any server as long as they speak HTTP. So that's where you call these guys, instead of saying just clients, you may say HTTP client. And this guy becomes a HTTP server. HTTP client and HTTP server. One server and many clients. The clients can be any number. All right, the clients here can be of any number. They all can speak to one single server or many servers. That is also not, maybe for failover purpose or something, you may have more than one server there. So if one server goes down, the other server picks up and start helping the clients. But HTTP is a very technical term. That's why people typically use the marketing term, that is web server and web client. Web servers and web clients. A web client is simply a piece of software that runs on the client's machine, and it sends HTTP requests to a web server and receives HTTP responses. And what is a web server? It is a server piece of software, typically bulky, that runs on a centralized machine, data centers we call, right? So web servers runs on a data center, and they receive HTTP requests from the web clients and renders or gives back HTTP responses. So some people develop the client part of this kind of application. Some people develop the server part of the applications. When you are building the server part of the application, you become something called a back-end developer or a server developer. When you are developing the client part of it, you are called as typically a client developer or UI developer, because clients are typically the user interfaces. It need not be always user interface. For instance, when I open my terminal and if I say git add blah blah blah, it is also going to do something internally using HTTP only. But this is not a UI, this is not a graphical user or web, the browser client. It is an ASCII client, but still it is a web client. Okay. So when we say HTTP client or web client, please do not assume that it is always going to give you a browser kind of a UI. It can be anything. Browser is one of the web clients, most famous web clients otherwise we can say. So now in these 3 days, we are focusing on this part. We are focusing on the web client. A web client is interfacing or connecting the actor means the end user, right? An end user with the web server. So it has to do two things. It needs to collect the input from the end user, and wherever required, it makes a HTTP request with the web server. So as a client developer, you need to know these things, that how you can do this. How do you collect the inputs from the end user, and how do you give back the output to the end user, both the things from the end user perspective. Similarly, as a web client developer, how you will be making requests to the web server and how you collect back the response from the web server. Between these two, that means a whole process if you take, typically what happens, you take input from the end user, do some computation, if required connect with the web server, get back with collect the response, again you may want to do some computation and provide results to the end user. That is your end-to-end flow. That is your end-to-end flow. Means as a developer of the web client, you need to know how to collect the input, how to give back the output, how to do the computation, how to make a request, and how to collect the response. 5 things. Client, these 5 are the primary responsibilities of the web client developer. Web client means always the user interface based on the browsers. So how do you collect the input? By showing the forms. Like yesterday I have given you a form which you filled in. So that is how the web client was collecting the input. What is your name and blah blah blah. Sometimes it may be showing a text box. Sometimes it may showing a radio box. Sometimes it may just give a link which you need to click or a button which you need to click. This is how it collects the input. So you need to know how to collect the inputs through a form. Once you collect the input, what to do with that input? You may have to do some kind of computation. Sometimes that computation may require some support from the server. Support from the server. In such a case, how it makes a request to the server and collect back the response from the server, and then again do some computation. May want to show results. How it shows the results? Maybe as an animation, maybe a sound, maybe an audio visual by running an audio clip or a video clip, or showing some pictures, or simply dumping some text onto the screen. That is how it is going to present the output. Collecting input from forms, making HTTP requests, collecting HTTP responses, doing the internal computation, and presenting the output. 5 bullet points you should remember. If you can do all these 5, you are a good UI developer, or you are a good web client developer. You are a good web client developer. So typically what kind of technology we use on the web client? As you know, no matter which advanced technology you are using, you would always use only 3 technologies, fundamental. HTML, as you all know, right? HTML is essentially, as you know, it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's a markup language. It's not a logical language or a programming language. Rather, it is a markup language to organize the elements as a DOM tree, document object model. What is a DOM tree? Let me show you here. Let's say this is the browser. This entire browser is called as one DOM, document object model. Basically, it's an object collection of objects. This entire thing is one document. This document is having, let's say, a left pane on the left side, and maybe a north pane towards the top, and the rest. Maybe I would say, maybe on the right side also you have some east, west, north, and center. There is no south here. So it created a layout. So the document contains 4 divisions here, primary divisions: left division, top division, right division, and central division. So that means if you see this as an inverted tree, you are all from engineering background, you know what is a tree structure. If you see it as an inverted tree, at the root you have the document which has 4 children: left pane, top pane, right pane, and center. For example, on the right plane, on the top plane, you have a text box and 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. Of course, they are all buttons only, but being shown as pictures. There are 4 buttons or 4 clickables. Means 5 elements. The top pane is having 5 elements, 1 text box and 4 others. So document has 4 children. In one of them, for one of them, it has 5 children. Again, internally, for the text box itself, again there is an image like magnifying glass and the real text box, and you have the other icon, another button. So there are three different things. Similarly, if you take the central one again is having a north pane and the rest. North pane is having various buttons. The rest of them is a table with lots of rows and others. So basically, this entire whatever you are seeing on the screen, if you organize them, it becomes like a tree structure. Starting from the document, goes down till the leaves like texts and buttons and blah blah blah. This is what HTML does. If I just try to, let me see if I can open it. Bookmark, oh yeah, view page source, right. So if I just open this and see, this entire thing is essentially a HTML document. You see there is a document object somewhere, and it talks about how all these elements are arranged with one other. How are they arranged with one other? That is the job of the HTML. It basically arranges the elements of the web page. Okay. The second technology is CSS. The HTML is for content organization. This is basically content organization. So you will be, as a HTML developer, you will be saying, okay, I will be having a table, I will be having a box, I will be having a form, I will be having a button here, below this, after this, left of this. This is what the job of the HTML is, organizing the content. The next one is CSS. CSS is to make the things little presentable so that whoever is seeing the screen, they feel it like little convenient to use it. HTML never say like what should be the font, what should be the size of the font, what should be the color of the font, or what is the resolution of the picture. HTML don't care. It is a job of the CSS. It is basically for styling purpose. Right? That styling is only one, making these things white, black. When I'm moving here and there, things are getting highlighted. Right? All these things are because of that CSS. With these two, you can prepare a static page. With these two, you can prepare simply a static page. But how you give some behavior, like if I click on send, it should change the content. If I click on something like this, it should open something like this. So how you can get all these kind of behavior that is dynamic in nature? That is where we will be using the third important technology, that is JavaScript. It is for behavior. No matter which kind of application you are seeing, how rich or how basic it may look like, these are the three technologies that forms the basis. So if you want to be a UI developer, a web client developer, you have to be expert in these three. As of now, you are just get started. That's what I am seeing from the answers that you have given. But if you want to be a web client developer, you need to be expert on these three technologies. And how difficult they are, very easy. Right? I have given 3 links. Go through those 3 links. Maybe each link may take 2 to 3 days. Enough. You'll become, of course, to become an expert, it takes time. Expertise comes with experience, but knowledge, to become knowledgeable, you require hardly a week's time to get in these 3 areas. But only problem with these 3 technologies is that they are like very down to, or in another way, they are like assembly code. They are too verbose, too primitive, that is the actual word technically. They are too primitive, too granular. So to write anything useful, we will have to write hundreds and hundreds of lines of code. Problem is not with the size of the code. When the size increases, it becomes more complicated. Tomorrow, if you need to make some change, or if you want to fix a defect or something, you'll find it very, very difficult because the enormity of the code. You cannot organize the code so easily, and it becomes too difficult beyond a point. That's where many technologies comes with some reusable libraries. instead of you doing everything on your own, they give some libraries, or we see some libraries which helps us in getting more by doing less. In getting more by doing less. When you do such things, your productivity increases. When you leave the organization, if someone else comes into your shoes, it would be easier for that person also to understand the code and take it forward from there. So because of all these reasons, we very seldom use these three technologies directly. We cannot leave these three, but at the same time, we don't directly use these three. Rather, we will be using one or other library or a framework, right, on top of this. There are quite a few such kind of libraries. For instance, if you take CSS, one of our friends just told during the introduction that he is good at Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a technology which makes your CSS work a little more easy and attractive. Without Bootstrap, if you want to achieve the same impact, same kind of styling, it is possible, you can do it. But you'll have to reinvent the wheel again. You have to reinvent the wheel, unnecessary. If you use Bootstrap, you can get things done so easily. With respect to JavaScript also, you have several libraries, so that instead of you writing every piece of behavioral code, you can use one or other kind of such libraries. TypeScript you might have seen and you might have heard about. It's another language on top of JavaScript. ECMA script, which is a standard for JavaScript. So in the initial days, it used to be called as JavaScript. Now it is called as ECMA script. Or in short, ECMA script is in short ES. ES stands for ECMA script. Or if you want to do full name, it is ECMA script. ECMA is a European Computers Manufacturers Association. Basically, the ECMA is the standards body for JavaScript. Now, initially it was a child of started from Netscape, then moved to Firefox, Mozilla, and now it is in the hands of ECMA as a standard. All right. So the summary here is that you are working on web client part of the applications, and web client requires expertise in these three areas, but you expected to use libraries of these three technologies. And one of those libraries that we are going to use is the ReactJS, or in short, just ReactJS. Instead of doing another spin, let's go with directly something called ReactJS. Other than ReactJS, you have AngularJS or Angular NG in short, Vue.js. There are many others. Electron. There are several such kind of libraries or frameworks which helps us doing things that are otherwise complicated easily. If you write the code on your own using HTML and CSS and JavaScript, it takes, let us say, 1,000 lines. With ReactJS, it may take 100 lines. But only problem is you are using someone else's code, someone else's library. So you need to learn that library, learn how to use that library to get those things. That's what we are going to do these 3 days. One of the interesting things, or maybe bad news about ReactJS, learning ReactJS, is that ReactJS is written in ECMA script. In the sense, if you want to use ReactJS, you are supposed to be good at ECMA or ES6, typically version 6 onwards. Maybe version 12 or something. 6 onwards is quite different from 1 to 5th version. From 6th version is changed in a big manner. So we typically say ES6, anything that is ES6 plus. So we need to learn something about ES6, only then we can make use of the ReactJS library. If you just only know the plain old JavaScript, not sufficient. Okay, so that's what we are going to do in a short while. Before that, let me see if you have any questions. Okay. Okay. Right. So any questions, please? Let me see. Any questions, Gunashekar?
No, sir.
Very good. Panindra?
No, sir.
Very good. From anyone else also, I need not to call each one of the names. Any questions from anyone? Please do not feel bad to ask questions. Okay, so let's assume that we are good with this. Let me go to what do you call yesterday's quiz. Let's see if we have some answers to some of those questions. The first question is okay. What is this one? Participant. Sorry. Yeah, assessment improvement. All right. So first question: which of the following is used for organizing the elements in a web page as a DOM tree? I didn't get 100% right answers from all of you. Some of you have given each different people gave different answers. The right answer is HTML. HTML is for the organizing the content, organizing the elements in the web page. Yeah. Any question? Somebody unmuted the phone. Any question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Then please mute.
Okay.
Let me not repeat that thing again. Unless you have a question, please never unmute.
Sorry, sir.
Again, please do not do all those things. Just please mute. Okay. Right. HTML is for organizing the content. CSS is for styling the content. JavaScript is to make the content dynamic. So that is the answer. Next question to answer, you need to know the ECMA script. For the next question, which element the following CSS expression selects? This requires a knowledge of CSS. Different people have given different answers. Many of them are wrong, in fact. See, in CSS, you have three different ways to select elements. CSS is all about styling elements, right? So first you need to select the element and then style it. How do you select? By saying, okay, this element or that element, either by identifying uniquely or by giving some kind of a characteristic of those elements, and then you say style it, give a background color like this, or change the font size like this, and so on. I'm sure you all know those things, right? So let me just take you through a basic CSS tutorial, 2-minute tutorial. This is the link I have given it to you. Look at any of these links. Let's say CSS fonts. Let us see some examples. See what is it doing here on the screen. I hope it is still visible. It is selecting an element here and then applying the style here. So the meaning of this one is like select the elements according to this selector, whatever is being highlighted, and make sure that the content of those elements are either in Times New Roman font or Times font or serif. So first you need to select and then apply the styles. How do you select? A very important syntax you need to look at. These are the selectors. So you can select elements based on different ways. One is element selection, another one is ID selection, another one is class selection. These are the three primary ways of selection. When you say element selector, you directly tell the element what kind of element it is. For example, here we are saying P, paragraph element, or div element, UL element, table element, whatever is the element name of the HTML you select. It selects all such elements. So here it is selecting all the paragraphs and making them in red color and centrally aligned. ID selector is to identify an element based on identity. Elements can have identity, and based on the ID you want to select it. It doesn't matter whether it is paragraph element or some other element. You just say there is an element with so and so name, not name actually, ID, so and so ID. Get that? To say it is ID, you need to prefix it with hash. So hash para1 means there is an element. We don't know what kind of element it is, but its ID is para1. Select an element whose ID is para1 and make it red colored and centrally aligned. So hash is to select elements by ID. And finally, you have the class selector. It is, you see the prefix is dot. The prefix is dot. Dot center means there are some elements where the class is center. They have a class called center. So select all the elements whose class is center and do this. And then do this. You can collect several things. For instance, p dot center means select an element of type p as long as it is having a class called center. For instance, here you have a p element and it is having a class called center, so it will be selected. Would be selected. That is how the selectors work, and they become so complex like this. So here what I am saying, div. Sorry, when I say div, it is right. When we talk about the div, it is an element selector. So I am selecting div element. Then there is a space. We'll come back to that space later. Then there is something called UL hash preferences. Means select UL element, unordered list, right? UL list. Select that list element as long as its ID is preferences. The third one says select list item element LI as long as class is selected. And you connect all these. Space. The selectors can be combined like this using space and greater than and different symbols. If it is space, basically we are talking about parent child. So we are telling select all the divs in which, okay, select all the UL elements with preference as ID, under which there are LI elements with class selected. So select that one. So basically this guy is going to select, this selector is going to pick up the list elements with class selected as long as it is under UL elements with ID preferences, as long as it is under div. So basically the first one is the answer. All LI elements with selected class under the UL element with preference as its ID under the div elements. Practice these selected expressions as much as possible, without which you cannot survive in the client domain. Okay, let's these things we'll see later. This is also ECMA script, basic JavaScript. Again, this is basic logic. Many people, and I see only one person gave the right answer. It is to find the minimum of the supplied array. It is to find the minimum of the supplied array. Many people have given it as like maximum. Some people have given it as like syntax. There is no syntax. So what is the correct way to link a JavaScript file in a HTML document? The first one is the right answer, as you know. Many of you have given that as the right answer. So in a HTML file, we will be linking the script using this script tag with src, which points to the relative path or the absolute path of the script file. JSON, we will come back to that. It is just only for me to understand whether you want to have some idea about them. The 10th one is like, what is the result of this following code? This is basic JavaScript. This is completely basic JavaScript, HTML, CSS. So what is this saying? Document.query selector. Select an element. The moment it is hash add link, it means you are selecting an element whose ID is add link. And on that element, add an event listener for click. So if somebody is going to click on this particular element whose ID is add link, then do like this, print that one. So what is that? Prints the link is clicked when the element with ID is clicked. That is the right answer. It's not class. If it is class, it is going to be dot add link. If it is element, it is just going to be add link. So that is how the other options are wrong. On the first one is right. Okay, so I hope you got some idea. So again, why I ran this quiz and why I'm doing this one again is because I want to tell you like where what is really important, what is it you need to really learn. Otherwise, it is like learning a dictionary only. You don't know why you are learning that vocabulary. You never use it, or when you want to use it, you never get appropriate vocabulary because you are doing aimlessly. I hope now you got some idea of where to concentrate more with respect to these three. Okay, so this is the first step. This is the one first we want to cover, right? So review of the HTML, JS, CSS, review of DOM manipulation. DOM manipulation means like what we have seen. If you click on this, then do this. The last question we have seen is something like related to that. A peek at basic UI application, like that GUI, the Gmail application. A review of Ajax, maybe let me do it little later. What is Ajax? Let me do it little later. Let me get into ECMA script right away. Okay. So now for the next 30 minutes or so, I'll be talking about ECMA script. After that, I'll demonstrate the React basics also. Then I'll give you the exercises for you to practice. I hope you have set up the lab environment already with Visual Studio Code. So this is my Visual Studio Code. Okay, just give me a second. Let me clean it up. Let me delete everything, not to confuse you. Okay, so basically I am on my machine at some location. You will be there in your own location. You may call it as workspace or whatever. You may give any name like that. Let me go to something like this. This is where I have created Glarimy-React as a folder, which is currently having nothing. That's what you are seeing on the left side. Now you have installed Node and npm, right? I'm assuming that if you haven't installed it, then you are not fit to join the classes. So how do I run Node? Let's say Node-version. Node version, I never remember many of these commands. Yeah. So Node-v in short, it is saying 16.16. It may not be the latest one, but definitely maybe released in the last 1 year. It's not too old also. I recommend you to create or install the latest one, which is always good. Latest LTS. So what is the latest version? Let me just verify once quickly. Node.js, sorry, which one? Node.js, right? So which version? Node 19. 16th is the LTS. LTS means long time support. For production, you will be using the LTS only. The other ones are like trial releases, previews. You may try using it, but if you run into an issue, you cannot blame them. So that way 19th version is available with the latest features. But recommended one is 16.18. I am having 16.16. So more or less I am at the latest version. If I just say Node, you see it is an interactive terminal that is it is opening. It is opening an interactive terminal. If I say console.log and hello, it executes that and gives you the output, that is hello, and this function is not returning anything, so it is saying undefined. If I write let a equal to 10 plus 20, it is not returning anything, it did something internal. If I want to get something, let's say give me that value of a, it gave that value of a as that. This is interactive way of working with Node.js. What is Node.js first of all? Node.js is an environment which can compile or interpret your JavaScript code. To put it simply, it can compile and interpret the JavaScript code. Only Node can do that? No. There are many other environments in which you can compile or interpret your JavaScript code. One of them is the browser itself. Let's say this is my browser. Let me open the developer tools within the browser. Okay, and there I can write my own code also. If I want to write some code, I can write code even here also. This is console, right? Let me say console.log hello, right? It print the same thing. If I say 10 plus 20, it gives 30. So here also my JavaScript code is being executed, but it is not Node.js. You need some JavaScript compiler to do this job. Browser also have a JavaScript compiler. In fact, in the initial days, only browsers used to have the JavaScript compiler. If you say like, no Krishna, I don't want to write or run anything on the browser. I want to do it on a standalone machine. In such case, you require Node.js. That's why we are using Node.js. So Node.js is for trying out our example codes and see how they are running. Once you feel like this, whatever I have written is good, then you run it on the browser and it becomes a website. Instead, if you say like, no, I'll continue to run on the standalone machine only, that means not on the browser, then you are writing some server. It is that simple. So you use Node.js to write the code, but to run it, you don't require Node.js. If it is on the server side, it is required. If it is on the client side, you just require browser. What we are going to do these 3 days is, we are going to use Node.js to develop the applications. And once the application is developed, we give this code to the browser so that browser runs this. That we do it. First, we'll try it on the Node.js on our development machine. What is VS Code or Visual Studio Code? It is just an editor with lots of other features. That's why we call it as like IDE, Integrated Development Environment. On your Visual Studio Code, if you run, if you say new terminal, your normal terminal comes. It is not anything, what do you call, big or anything else. It's a simple thing. 1 second, how to promote. Right, so instead of writing the code interactively like this, either on the Node shell or on the browser shell, it is always good if we do things on a file. You write the code in a file and then edit it. So for that, what I'm doing is I'm creating a file. I'm saying hello.js. Anything that is JavaScript, whether it is ECMA or whatever, it holds JS as the extension. So let me write some code within this file, hello.js file. Simple code, typically what you do is like, initially you say hello world, right? So console.log hello world. Semicolon is optional, but I always suggest you to use it. Save this file. If you write something but you do not save, you see this kind of a dot. If you save it, then it becomes, there is no dot. Okay. So remember that unless you save, whatever you have written will not be applicable. So now if I see here, I have that hello.js. How do I run this? I can simply say node hello.js. It printed hello. That's simple. You can have a very, what do you call, thousands of lines of code, but to run it, you simply say node hello.js. For people who came from C background, console.log is equivalent of your printf statement. For people who came from Python, it is like print statement. If you come from Java background, it is like system.out.println. These are all like only, I'm not saying they are exactly equal. So if you want to print something onto the console in JavaScript, this is how you do it. But do I write the code like this and run node hello.js blah blah blah? It is not a very, very good practice, because your code will not be just one file with one line. You'll be having multiple files with multiple lines of code. Multiple files and multiple lines of code. So to handle such kind of an environment, you need to have a better organized way of doing things. So how do we do it? So instead of creating a file just like that, what I'm doing now is like I'm saying npm init. npm stands for Node Package Manager. Basically, this npm helps you in this Node.js. This npm helps you in managing the packages of code, packages essentially, to create package, to download and install package, to run a package, to upload a package to the common repository. You'll use this npm. This command you can easily understand. npm init stands for initializing a new package. Let me just say npm init. I can do it, but better if you do it in a separate folder. Let's say I'm creating a folder by name first. This is my first package. So within that folder, move to that folder, and then you say npm init. It will ask you a few questions. What is the package name? It typically gives that name like whatever folder in which it is. So it is the first is the package name by default. If I just say enter, it picks up. Otherwise, you need to enter actual name. I'm just clicking enter. Which version? I'm taking default, clicking enter. What is the description? Sample, let's say, let me write something. Entry point, maybe index.js, doesn't matter. Test command, I don't care. Git repository, I don't care. Keywords, I don't care. Author, maybe let me say Krishna. License, ISC is okay. It is now saying like this is what you have selected. I'm saying fine, I'm okay with this. Say yes. Then what it does? Now let us see. It created a file called package.json. Whatever it has shown, it is actually the content of this file. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. That is the original meaning, but don't worry about it. JSON is just a simple organized text, a structured text. Key value pairs. So here name is key, first is value, version is key, 100 is value, and so on. If you have another curly brace, you are talking about another set of key value pairs. This entire thing is a key value pair. You see the braces. Here it is another key value pair, an embedded JSON. That way it can go any length. You can have arrays also, right? Arrays of things and etc. Observe what is there in the package JSON. Basically the executive information. What is the name of this package? What is the version of this package? Some manual description for human consumption. Where to start executing in this package? Are there any scripts in this package? Who wrote this package? What is the license that this package claims? This kind of basic information. Plus there are few other things we'll be seeing. Package JSON is a very important file that you will be having in any npm package. Whether you build it or you get it from somewhere, you will always have such. Now, because we said main is in the index.js, better if you create such a file, index.js. You can have any name, main.js or some other name, whatever you name, but that name should be equivalent of whatever you have given as the in the JSON file. It says like where is the main file, index.js. That's why I created it. And what do you write here? Whatever you want to write the same thing. Let's say hello world from npm. Let's say let us give that as a thing. So I'm not doing really great thing here. Only thing I'm doing is like printing the same message, but from within a project rather than just a file, a package project in which I have package JSON and JS. So this is the one. Now let me go to the package JSON. So here instead of test, let me say it is start. Typically you will be having a script called start. It is better to have such a thing. And whichever command you feel should be used to run this, just write it. So now what happened? Otherwise what actually I am supposed to do, where I am currently in the first package. So this is the one. If I want to run, all I need to do is like this, which you know all. Node.index.js. But what if they change the name from index.js to something else? You need to know which file I need to start with. Because there is only one file, you can do this. If there are 100 files, as a user of this package, you do not know like which JS file you need to run. Instead, if the package developer himself or herself write a start script with the actual command to be used. Same command, whatever command I have given here, it is the same command I am giving. If I do like this, then what happens is you can simply say npm start. Sorry, where I am? Sorry, not npm run, not npm start, npm run. When you say npm run, it runs this start command. What is it saying? It is saying no test specified. That is, those are all for the test cycles. That is fine. That's okay. One second. Start node index.js life cycle included here. Why? Where I'm asking for this? Life cycle scripts included in first at 100 where I selected this. I'm sorry, it is doing something little more than what I just expect. It is supposed to just run this command, but it is also expecting test commands also. It's not failing, but it's not giving any result. Why it is? I'm extremely sorry. I'm not sure what is going wrong here. Node.index.js, it is there. You say start, because of it, it runs node.index.js. I'm extremely sorry. I ran out of ideas of why it is not printing this. Any clue from anyone?
Sir, you gave comma after close braces, it is okay. In 8th step.
In 8. Yeah, this is fine. This is essentially like for each key value, you need to terminate it with a comma. So this is the key and this is the value, and after that you have got the comma. That is perfectly right.
Sir, mention that 8th lines. You were clear that test line.
I cleared that. Okay. Come again. What I
Mention that line, sir.
Test line, is it?
Yes, sir.
Is it mandatory now or what?
Exactly, I don't know, but while I'm using that,
Oh, is that? Okay, let me have that one also.
Mention it above, sir.
No, it can be anywhere.
Oh, okay, sir.
It is just an object only. Maybe echo no tests. Let me just leave it like this. Let me see what happens. No, it is running but not giving the results. Livescape scripts. This line I never saw earlier. This version I am seeing here. Okay. Let's leave it. Let's not worry and spend a lot of time on that. I'm not really clear. Let me check with the documentation of this version and see if something is I need to know. npm run, why it is coming to tests again? It is not supposed to run test. When I say run, it is supposed to start this one only, nothing else. It is doing something related to this. Or if say npm start. Okay, fine. It is npm start with test npm start. Sorry for the confusion. You say npm start so that it is coming to the start command. Earlier it used to be like when you say npm run, it automatically runs the start script. Now looks like See, ever changing things, right? It looks like in the scripts you need to have both test as well as start. Without test it is not accepting. It is a good thing actually. And once you have things ready, then you say npm start. It will run whatever script you are asking for, the start script. The result of that one is hello world from npm. Hope I did not confuse it too much. Let me repeat the same thing with another example so that you feel a little better than this. Let me create another folder. Let me call it as second. And let me go to that second folder here and say npm init. I'll take everything as default. So second has got package.json. Apart from this, comma, one more thing, that is start. And what do I do? Node index.js. And then under the second package, let me actually create index.js. Let me do few interesting things here. Let me create p as 100, t as 10, r as 2. PTR by 100 you all know, right? And let me compute interest as P multiplied by T multiplied by R by 100. And then let me print console dot log I. Will it work? We'll see. But this is what I have done. Because of my recent experience with Python, I am forgetting to give the semicolons, but it is good to give semicolons in JavaScript. That's a nice practice. So now where are we? In the second package, right? So the package.json is now having both test as well as start. So I can now simply say npm start. It gave 20 as a result, which you are expecting. All right, 2000 by 100, you will get 20. But is it good way of writing it? Old JavaScript accepts this, but now with ECMA script, when you are working with ReactJS, never write code like this. To declare a new variable, always use let as the keyword. So let p equal to 100, let t equal to 100, let r equal to 200, let I equal to ptr by 100. Let keyword helps you, or let keyword results in creating a new local variable. Never use var. Never use anonymous variables like what we have done earlier. Never declare something as just x equal to 20. No. Let x equal to 20. If it is a constant, instead of let, we say const, const. Either let or const. Only one of these two you must use. Only one of these two you must use. Let me run this again. npm start. Same result. Then why it is required? As I mentioned, Node.js is okay with old JavaScript as well as ES6. But ReactJS expects only ES6. So learn this. This is one. This is declaration. Instead of just printing I, if I want to say like interest is this value, then how do I write? Interest is maybe plus I. Let me run this now. Right, it is saying interest is 20. Interest is 20. But this way of writing is again a bit complicated. In the sense, if I want to write a lot of stuff, then I need to say blah blah blah. Okay, let me demonstrate that. For the given input, so interest is 20 for the given input. Let's say interest is rupees 20 for the given input. Good. But as you can see with these quotes, opening and closing and plus symbols, is a little cumbersome. Instead, what you can do is you can use something called interpolation. You can use something called interpolation. What is it? instead of using the single quote or double quote, use back quote. Use back quote. Back quote is typically on the same button that you have that wave symbol. Open and close these kind of statements with back quotes and write normally. Interest is rupees I for the given input. What I have done is like I enclose them with the back quotes. Let's see what is the result. It is just saying interest is rupees I for the given input. That's not what we are expecting. We want to replace this I with the actual value. So wherever you want to replace such a thing, and that's why we call it as interpolation. You say dollar curly braces in which you can write whichever variable you want to give. So interest is rupees, whatever is the value of I for the given input. Let me rewrite it again. Rerun. Now you got the result. This is much better than the earlier. Why it is much better is because, not just because of this interpolation, you can actually write the entire expression itself here. Instead of declaring a variable called I separately, if you want to do any computation, you can directly do computation here itself. So interest is rupees, whatever is the result of this expression for the given input. You got the result. Any questions from anyone, please? Unmute and ask the question and mute. Please do not hesitate to ask questions. No questions? Then I'll, yeah, go ahead. Is someone asking for something or not? Okay, fine. So I take the silence as if like you're all good with these two pieces, very important pieces of information, of course. First one is about the let keyword. Second one is to use this interpolation wherever possible. Okay. Now let us go to the third project. These are not very simple projects, right? If the real projects are of this nature, it would have been much better actually, but real projects are much complicated. Let me create one more project called third. One second. Okay, see, whenever I am creating a project, I am creating a folder and running the npm init. Remember, always I am doing that. But I am leaving everything for default. And after that, what am I doing? Why I am doing these many times is to reinforce. You also please do the similar things. Comma and script start node, whatever is the file name that you would like to give. So in this case, node index.js. This is which file it is, package.json. Start node index.js. So this is a ritual every time you do this, and then you create your actual file, whichever name you have given. So this time I am going to do something different. Instead of writing the code for finding the simple interest then and there itself, I would like to write a reusable function. I would like to write a reusable function. So how do I write? In C also you know how to write functions. In Python also you know how to write functions. In Python you will be using def keyword. In C you just create the function prototype and so on. What do we do in this case? You will be using a keyword called function. Let's say simple interest or compute interest. Simply let me say compute. You may take some input. You take P, T, R and write the result. What is the result? Return P multiplied by T multiplied by R by 100. This is not. So here the function name is compute. It is taking 3 parameters or 3 arguments P, T, R, and using those input, applying a formula, it is computing something and returning that value, whatever it is. Function is the key. It is a reusable function. I can use this function in any number of places. Here it is one line function. You may be having 100 lines of function with 100 lines. So when you use such kind of functions repeatedly in multiple places, the code size becomes a lot lesser. A collection of such functions is what you call as a library. ReactJS is such a library. ReactJS is just a collection of several of these kind of functions. So you just know like what are those functions, how should I call those functions, what parameters I should pass to those functions, so that you can get more by doing less. Okay, now let us copy paste the code from the earlier piece. This time, instead of here to write this PTR by 100, I should know what is the formula. Let's say I do not know the formula. It is a big formula. Let's say I want to find something using Fourier transforms. I do not remember them except the name. So instead, if there is a function to do such kind of a job, I can simply call that function. What is the name of the function here? Compute. And what it is expecting? 3 different values. P, T, R. Or if you say like, no Krishna, I'd like to do it separately. I equal to compute by passing these values, P dot R, whatever. And then I'll keep here as I. That is also fine. Where are we now? We are in the third application. I am saying npm start. It is again giving me the same result. So this is how you create a function. This is how you call a function. It is only that I have given PTR in both the places. It need not be always. Let's say here this is like principal. This is time. This is rate. Then here I need to pass principal as the value for P, time as the value for T, and rate as the value for R. Right? So this is how you write the functions, but this is how you typically do it in the old JavaScript, not in the ECMA script. I'm not saying in the ECMA script it won't work. Many of the things that work in the old may still work here, but may not also. They are deprecated. Over a period of time, they may be removed. Support for them may be removed. Better to use the new syntax. Just observe like how I am changing this function. Instead of saying function compute, let me create compute itself as another variable. Let compute equal to what are the parameters it is taking? P, T, R. And what is the actual code like this. Remember, lines 1, 2, 3 and line 5, 6, 7 are exactly same as far as the functionality is concerned. The first one is called as a traditional function, whereas the second one is called as an arrow function because of this arrow. Because of this arrow, it is called as an arrow function. You know the comments, right? Let me comment out the first one. Let's see if it still works. Interest rate is for the given input using arrow function. Let me run this. Alright, we are saying interest is blah 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 using arrow function. Means it is working. So here, compute is also created like any other object. Let compute equal to, then write the rest of the stuff. If you just say 10, it becomes 10 as a value, number. Instead, if I give this arrow, it becomes a function, arrow function. What is good about arrow functions? The good thing about arrow function you will be knowing only when you know something about classes, something called classes. That we will see later. But for now, let us see what are the various ways in which this syntax you can write. Let me write another function, let square. Means you give a number, it will find the square of that number. So what is the number n, and what is the result of it? Return n multiplied by n. Hope all will agree with me. This is the syntax. This is the logic. But when you have a function with only one argument, this is a special case. If you have no arguments, or if you are having more than one argument, this is the syntax, like what you have been using. But if it is only one argument, you need not to give the surrounding parenthesis. It can be simple n. If there are no arguments, you have to give the parenthesis. If you have more than one, also you have to give the parenthesis. If it is only one, is enough. This is enough. One more thing. If it is only one line of code with a return statement, if it is only one line of code with a return statement, then you can avoid these curly brackets also, and you should bring it under the same line and remove the return from that statement. Now you observe, this became lot simpler, isn't it? So where it is useful, this kind of a syntax without parentheses around the parameters and without curly braces and return statements within the body of the function, where it is in the arrow functions, this syntax is useful in such cases. When you have only one argument, then that is the discount is about the surrounding parentheses. When you have only one line of code with a return statement, you can write. Practice them. Practice the arrow functions. Let me open. Let us look at arrow function example. Right, this is originally from Mozilla kind of guys. So see here, material, blah 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 blah. So what it's saying? It's saying, what do you call it? Yeah, this is traditional function. Now this became like this. This became like this. This became like this. Observe here. Initially it used to be with parenthesis and blah blah blah. So because it is only returning only one line, it became like this. Because there is only one parameter, it became like this. If you have multiple things, if you have no arguments, at least like this. If you have multiple arguments, like this, and so on. Okay, so practice them. Practice them. That is important. Okay, let me stop here. Any questions? Not stop. Let me pause here. Any questions at this point? So we have seen interpolation, we have seen arrow functions. Now we need to see classes and modules. NPM, package, JSON, those things anyway we have. So I'm not hearing any questions, so I take it as if like we are still good with this. Now let me move on to another project, 4. And again, you know the ritual, right? So go to that 4th project and say npm init, accept everything, and in the package JSON include the start thing, the start script. Let me repeat again, it need not be index.js always, but if you have written index.js, then you need to create such a file. You have to create such a file. Let's see what we are going to write here in this case. So in this index.js, let me write 2 functions. One is to find the square, another one is to find cube. So let me write arrow functions only. Let square equal to take one number and return square square of those 2 numbers. If it is cube, take one number and return n multiplied by n multiplied by n. Let me add one more. Sum of 2 numbers, first number and second number. Then arrow, first plus second. This is what I am supposed to write, but because it is having more than one parameter, I'll have to write it. These are three different functions. Three different functions happen to be in the same file. If I want to use them, console.log square of, let me create an n, let me say n number equal to 10, let other equal to 20. Two numbers I'm having. Let's say first and second. Square of, instead of, as I mentioned, don't use the double quotes. Wherever possible, go with the interpolation. Square of dollar first is what? Dollar. Use the square function. Pass that first. Let me run this. npm start. Right? Square of 10 is 100. I hope you are able to follow my code on. A similar thing I am doing for cube also. A cube of, let's say, second. This time let us use second. Then I need to call the cube function and say second. Let's rerun this again. Cube of 20 is 8000. Perfect. Sum of first and second. Let me write like this. Dollar first plus dollar, where is this? Second is equal to dollar sum of first and second. Let me run this. Right, 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. So far so good. But when we have multiple functions working on the same piece of data, instead of declaring them globally like this, right? These are like variables that are accessible in that file from anywhere. It is global within the file, right? Global within the file. That is always bad because, as I mentioned, in your files you may not have just only 10 lines of code, 100 lines of code. You might have created first here, but somebody else also, or in some other portion also, you have created a variable called first. Then there is a conflict. Otherwise, you need to creatively think different names for different variables. It becomes too much of a headache. My name is Krishna. There may be somebody else also with the same name Krishna. How do we avoid that conflict? One is like you need to be creative. I become Krishna, you become Krishna, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't look nice. Or you do surname. I have Krishna, poem. Maybe someone is Krishna XYZ. Some context. If you keep them in the context with a surname, then there can be any number of Krishnas, but still they are unique. Similarly here, when you have functions and variables created like this globally, you will run into some kind of conflict. Instead, you can keep them in a context. We call the context as a class. Let me create something called a class. Let me call it as like calculator. Call it as calculator. And within this calculator, I am going to create all these things as functions and variables. Remember, when you are creating within the calculator, you should not use let, rather you should say this dot. Sometimes you don't even write that one also. You may simply say this is also fine. Okay, and cube is this. This is another function. There are different functions, and where do you declare these things? You may say you can create a constructor called as constructor. You accept these numbers first and then second. Once for all, you accept that. And internally you say this dot first equal to first and this dot second equal to second. You can do like this. You can do like this. Or maybe let's not worry about the constructor. Let me remove this. Let me have only this much. So calculator is now having a function called square, another function called cube, another function called sum. Can I use them directly? Let me create let calc equal to new calculate and then say calc dot square. Instead of just saying square, I'll say calc. It became like a surname. Calc dot cube, calc dot sum. Let me run this once. It is saying first is not defined. Oh, I removed this first and other things. Sorry. First equal to 10. Let second equal to 20. Right? You can see. So by having a class, the advantage is that this name of square, if let's say I'll create one more thing. Let square equal to calc dot square 90. Still it is okay because this square is different from square of calc. If you haven't used object-oriented code, if you haven't used classes in the past, learn them fully. Not too much of code. It is simple. It's not that complicated. But learn how to create classes, how to create functions within the classes, how do you pass data to the classes if you want to pass, and so on. Learn them also. For now, this is more than enough. This is only just to review. This is only to give a bird's eye view of what is an arrow function and how it is useful, and what is a class and how it is useful. Let me take a pause again. Any questions, please?
Sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, is using calc is necessary in classes?
You mean to say here?
Yes, sir.
Right. Otherwise, nobody knows. Let's say if there are multiple Krishnas in the same classroom, if I just call Krishna, please stand up, they'll confuse. So when you are creating functions within classes, then first thing you need to do is like from that class you need to create an object. That is what you are doing at line number 9. Okay. And from that object, from within that object or with the reference of the object, you will be calling the function.
Okay, we're using object name to call the function, right, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
So calculator is like, class means like a blueprint. Every calculator must have these 3 functions. That is what we are saying between line 1 and 5. This is one of the calculators.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I can create one more calculator. Let my calc equal to another calculator. I can create any number of such calculators. Then I should say whether I am calling calc square or my calc square. It's up to us. And you will be creating multiple objects like this when the calculator stores some information. Currently they are returning the values. When they store information, it is always useful when you are dealing with the objects. Currently it is mandatory to have the object name, but the real importance or the advantage of it is not very much visible here because we are not storing any data. In case you are storing data within the calculator, then it might be much more easy.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from anyone else, please? Okay, now let us do the last step. The last one is to talk about the modular code, I think. the modules. Let me see if modules work with the Node.js or not, because there are several things need to be set up. At least I'll show you the syntax. In ReactJS, they are automated. We have the full setup environment ready that we'll see there. But now let me try modules also, see if it works for us. So now I am creating 5th project for trying out the modules. So I am saying new folder, 5th, and I am going to that project 5th and doing that npm init. And then I'm writing that additional script for easily to start. And to satisfy that requirement, I'm creating a file called index.js. In the index.js, let me copy whatever was there in this place. 5th one also. So 4th and 5th are exactly same at this point. So let me just run that once. Right, it isn't working. What I want to do is, see here there are two things clearly. One is like somewhere we are defining the functions and classes. Somewhere else we are using those functions and classes. Two different parts. So if someone else also wants to use the same calculator for finding the sum of some other numbers, then what they should do? They need to copy paste this code into another file. Let's say I'm creating one more file. Let me say main.js. There also they want to find sum of two numbers. Then what I need to do? I need to copy this calculator to the main.js, and then I'll be saying, okay, let num n1 equal to 100 and let n2 equal to 230 or whatever, 340, and then I say let sum is equal to, and first I need to create the calculator, right? Let c equal to new calculator, and then say sum is c dot sum, and I'll give n1 and n2. This is how I should do. Is it good? Obviously bad. Copy pasting the code is bad always, because tomorrow if this code is 1000 lines, will you be copying the entire 1000 lines again here? Too worst. You may say like, okay, only copy paste, we have control C, control V, I can do it easily. That is fine. But the problem is tomorrow if there is they find that, oh, I am doing something wrong here, they modified it. How do you know that you also need to modify? How someone knows that where and all it is copied so that somebody goes and modifies in all these places? Very, very difficult. Sorry. So copying or duplicating the code, instead of copying, you may want to say like, no, I will write my own calculator. That is like reinventing the same wheel. That is, only fools can do such kind of things. So instead, let it be there in one single place, and we just refer to that from multiple files, from multiple projects. How do I do that? Typically, let me try that. As I am saying, let's say in the main.js, let us have this calculator, and I want to use that in the index.js. I'm only giving a try. I'm not sure Node.js will it work that simple, because we need to use a different library for this purpose also. But let me give a try. If it works, good. Otherwise, you know the syntax. In ReactJS, you see it in action. So in the main.js, or maybe instead of main, let me rename it as like library. Library basically consists of some reusable functions, reusable classes, and so on. So I have a library in which I have created something called calculator, and what I'm doing here is I'm saying export default calculator. Basically what I'm doing is from this file called library.js, this file may be containing several things, but I am exporting only calculator from this file. Typically you will export only one thing from one file, typically, not a rule. So if you want to export multiple things, you have a different syntax, but typically you do like this. Export default, what is it? Calculator, you are exporting calculator. In the index.js file, you need to import it. You need to import. So in Python also you do import, in Java also you do import, in C you call it as include, something similar to that. So here I am saying import what? Calculator. From where? Where it is? In the index.js. Where it is that index.js? In this location. Sorry, it is library. Sorry. I think library.js sometimes, again, it depends on the environment. Let me see first if it works or not. First thing what I do is like, let me not do this. Let me do this and then try running it. Currently we are in the 5th project already. I'm running this. Let's see what it says. What is it saying? At line 6, you are doing something like new calculator, but calculator is not defined. I do not know what calculator means because calculator is not declared or defined in this file. It is in a different file called library.js. So now we are saying, okay, I'm not going to define, rather let me import the definition from a different file. Here is where I am doubtful. It is saying cannot use import statement outside of a module. It is because it uses something called require.js. Instead of import, it uses require.js. That's the problem in Node.js. That's why it is saying I cannot import, but this is the actual syntax of. Okay, for the time being, ignore this error. Just believe me that it works in ReactJS. We can make it working in the what do you call in Node.js also, but for that we need to make few more changes, few more configurations. Let me try doing it. If it takes more than 5 minutes, let us not try that. Yes, this is ES6 specification. That's why the problem. ES6 modules on Node.js. How can I use this one? So many people are asking this question. Somebody is saying that I want to import blah blah blah, but it is saying this and that. How should I do that? Let's say if they are giving anything, the package JSON. Okay, they are saying first save the file with MJS extension and add this line. For anything, you only need to do one of the above to be able to use a script. If you are using Node.js of 9 to 12th version with MJS only. Okay. One of these two they are saying, let us try this one. If it works, for Node.js 13 and above, they are saying add this one into the package JSON. Let us give that a try. One more configuration. Sorry, what is that? I got it. So we are saying we are going to use module type. I'm not sure what is the actual syntax. Add in the nearest package JSON type module. Okay, let us give it a try. See, basically the problem, let me explain. This kind of modular programming was not there in the basic JavaScript. But in Node.js, they have given that support using a library called RequireJS. That is what the Node.js uses. But RequireJS is only meant for Node.js. If I want to use it anywhere, we have a better alternative now with the ECMS, with the ES6. They call them as like ES6 modules. If you want to get more information on this, maybe somewhere you try like this. Let me close this one now first. You may try like this, like require JS versus common JS versus ES6 modules. You see, these are all like few things like this. So you can go through this what do you call, kind of a documentation or some kind of an explanation. You will understand. If it is Node.js related things, you need to write like this and import them using require statement. I'm sure many Node.js developers still do like this if it is client server side. If it is client side and if you are using ES6, in the case of ES6 modules, this is native JavaScript things, then you just say export blah 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 and import blah blah. This is what you can achieve. Alright, but we want to use those ES6 modules on Node.js, for which somebody suggested use this piece. Let's see if it works. If it works, fine, otherwise let's leave it. Let's not spend time. Do you mean to import library.js? Okay, now we got some idea, right? It is not just sufficient to say library, we need to say library.js. Okay, let us try.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry for disturbing you, sir. Actually, your screen is getting blurred for everyone, sir.
Is it? Okay, let me stop sharing and again let me share.
Yes, sir, please.
Let me know if it is better.
Yes, sir, better right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Since how long it was the problem? Should I repeat anything?
From just 1 minute, sir, that's it.
Okay. Right. So initially we have library only. When I try just library, what happened was that it was giving this as an error. It is saying, do you mean to import library.js? So now we come to know that if it is ES6 modules, we need to give the full name of the file. So with that change, now I did like this and now it started working. That means now we know how to use modules also on the Node.js. Let me, fifth example only, let me show you once again fully by going through each line of code so that it would be a complete, we will complete the ECMA piece. First thing, I have created a new project and created package.json. Package.json is the configuration file for the project. It will give the executive information and few other recommendations. What are they? In this case, what are the recommendations? It is saying use the ES6 modules and use the start script, blah, blah, and many other things. So if you are using modules, we need to have something like this. And then if I am creating a library, I may give some name. You need not to give library only as the name. You can give ABC also. And you write whatever you want to donate to the rest of the folks. Basically, whatever you want to expose it to the rest of the folks, you write them. Maybe a class, maybe a function, maybe a constant. It can be anything. It can be anything. So write those things. And finally, you export it. There are 100 ways to export. I am only showing one of them. You study well, you explore on your own offline to learn more about it. So you export, let's say, in this case, whatever calculator, what we have created. And then, if you want to use any one of them, import. Import whatever you want to import. From whichever file it is. You see, // means it is in the current location only. If it is in a different location, you need to give the relative path, .. or whatever, right? And after that, it is as if like it is